Now, I thought all of this was dead and buried, but unfortunately it's reared its ugly head again. Labour have given the green light for activist councils to rename streets with, you guessed it, links to slavery and the empire. Angela Rayner's department have ditched Tory proposals which enabled residents to veto plans to change road names. And this particular thing was revealed in the report by the Policy Exchange think tank. Now, during the Black Lives Matter baloney, do you remember that in 2020, when some people lost their minds, probably because of lockdown, people pretty much had nothing else to do. So this sort of nonsense was rife as councils were bombarded with calls to change street names. In 2020, Ealing Council renamed Havelock Road, which was named after British General Sir Henry Havelock, to Guru Nanak Road. I quite like that because that's sort of like a combination of my name and the last bit, Nanak, Guru. I love it. In 2022, Watford Borough Council, now they came forward with plans for residents to change street names, including Imperial Way and Rhodes Way. And last year, Labour-run Haringey Council renamed Black Boy Lane to La Rose Lane after the poet and racial equality campaigner. Now, at the time, Michael Gove stepped in and carved up plans for councils to have a referendum where they have 2/3 of majority of the vote to change a street name. But Angela's department have shelved these plans. Lara Brown, the author for the think tank report, said the Labour government has quietly dropped legislation which would have prevented activist councils from renaming streets over the heads of local residents. They claim they wish to end the culture wars, and yet they are pursuing the politics of division, prioritising a minority of campaigners over the views of the public. Surely Angela Rayner's department should be focusing on other stuff. She has so many other pressing issues to deal with, like sorting out the housing crisis and unpicking her disastrous new employment plans. All of this effort simply for councils to rename roads because of a woke minority costs time and money. And taxpayers are also set to foot the bill for to the tune of £6 billion to fund nonsense research projects for studies on literary decolonisation of Africa, LGBT rights in China and the marketing of vegan food. And that all despite Rachel Reeves promising to crack down on government waste. It's laughable. And they're penny pinching from pensioners and farmers. Meanwhile, councils are going bust. Windsor has recently declared it may need to raise its council tax by some 25%. Joanne Marchong of the Taxpayers Alliance said millions of pounds has been wasted on nonsense projects. This is an absolute joke and a distraction from the work that councils really need to be getting on with, like fixing potholes, collecting bins. I mean, why do I have to pay an extra subscription for the green waste? And why does it take councils so long to do anything? Some are even looking to work more from home. If Angela Rayner and Rachel Reeves really want to cut waste, then they can start with stupid non-projects like these. So joining me now, Labour activist Chris Worrell. Chris Worrell, welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
So come on, look, this is absolutely ridiculous. Why is Angela Rayner, her department, investing time and effort into this?
Well, I think, Danny, you're right. You know, in terms of like people caring about nonsense projects, the Policy Report Exchange is exactly one of those. You know, if we're looking at what Labour are doing, is they're ending the hangover of Tory vetocracy proposals that allowed committees to veto street names. Now, they've shelved those plans. And if you look at the statistics, 8% of people actually have ever participated in the planning system. 1% in local plans, we're actually setting where the houses are. How many people do you think are going to actually participate in a committee for the conservation of, you know, controversial commemorations?
Well, exactly. So why are they wasting their time on it? You've said it out exactly right. Why is Angela Rayner even bothering with this? I would agree that people who live on those streets, if there's a small minority who want to change the name of that street, I don't think that's acceptable. And I think that Michael Gove's plans were reasonable, that 2/3 would need to be some sort of referendum if they really want to waste time doing that.
Well, look, asking for a referendum, I think councils, like you say, need to be fixing potholes. They don't need to be funding committees. And at the end of the day, if councils want to change their street names, they should be able to do that. At the end of
it's the people, isn't it? The people. But it's a minority of people. You see, this is the point. Really, my point is this: Labour should be prioritising other things. For Angela Rayner even to be bothering with that particular bit of legislation, as it were, is pointless. Why?
Well, they're shelving the Gove's proposals, and at the end of the day, you know, the policy exchange report wanted people to be able to have a say in this. At the end of the day, we've got planning reforms. We're cutting red tape, and it's going to be saving the council taxpayers money to be allowing busybodies to debate this stuff.
Well, they're cutting red tape by making sure that there's literally no consultation for certain things. So, for example, in terms of planning permission, which is, I don't think that'll go down well with the people who live in those councils and those boroughs, where they're forcing things like pylons or things. Or, you know, people should still be able to have a say on their environment, but it must be a majority thing, and it must be something that is really quite serious. And street names, because they have links to empire or slavery, I would argue is an absolute waste of resource.
Yeah, well, the point being is that, you know, where politically led local plans are put in place, we have a system at the moment that isn't inclusive at all. As I pointed out, there's hardly anyone that actually participates in that, and we need to have more representative participation in our planning system. Now, what we're talking about here is a policy exchange report proposal that wanted to put in place extra committees to debate this and veto, you know, the vetocracy Tory proposals have been removed. So allowing councils that are elected democratically to decide whether they name a street after the wokest man in Britain or otherwise
is a waste of their time.
Well, it's up to them if they feel that that's a political
well, that's all
priority.
very well, but lots of these councils are actually going bust, some of them, and, you know, the potholes, the things that people really care about. To me, this is a very poor way of spending time and a very bad way of prioritising. And I would rather Angela Rayner really focused on other things and a department focused on, you know, the things that people really seriously care about, than a small minority who aren't happy with something because it has a supposed link to slavery, yet they're probably all using iPhones and laptops and driving their EVs to try and look good, yet all of these things probably have links to slavery, as we well know.
Well, Labour is cutting the red tape. Gove wanted to put extra committees in place. I mean, if we're talking about councils going bust, which the Tory black hole has led to this situation, if we're going to be cutting red tape, which Labour Party are, then allowing councils just to get on with what they've been democratically elected to do and decide whether a street name is a priority or otherwise is perfectly reasonable. We can't have, you know,
links to slavery.
We can't have.
Is there anything that isn't linked to some form of slavery somewhere, someone? At some point in history, every single type of person has been enslaved. So literally across the world, every single thing. This is a waste of time.
Well, look, at the end of the day, if people that are democratically elected wish to do that, what Gove was proposing was committees to debate and defend perhaps dubious street names that, you know, have those links to slavery, and he was allowing people to stop those changes from happening. I don't think normal people really care about this stuff and debating street names. They care about the potholes, they care about houses being built, and ultimately removing this red tape, which the Labour Party are doing, is not going to be putting council taxpayer money towards these veto committees.
No, what it will do is enable a small woke minority to rename streets, which actually has quite a ricochet. So you name the street name, the person now needs to rename whatever their address is. There's so many other things that come with it once you've done that, and it's not just the simple thing of renaming the street, which is why I think it's an utter waste of time. And especially when we're talking about links to slavery, I don't think there's anything here in this room that I'm wearing, even my hair, all of these things. I think all of these things have some sort of link to slavery. It's an absolute impossibility trying to wheedle out the ones that you think are the appropriate ones to deal with.
No, I mean, look, I'd accept the fact that people shouldn't be wasting their time doing that, but at the end of the day, the Labour Party is cutting people debating it even further. If it's been decided and those are the local elected politicians, then let them get on with the job.
I think what Michael Gove was doing was making it difficult for people to even bother wasting their time on it, which I would 100% agree with.
The planning system's been difficult, I agree.
Well, yeah, but I also don't think it's right to just bulldoze over people's objections. I think that's important too.
Putting in more barriers is worse.
Well, no, but if you're talking about pylons or, you know, things that will affect people's lives, then I think there needs to be a debate. But Chris, it's very good to talk to you. That is Chris Worrell. He is a Labour activist. Good, that was great. Yeah, I love a bit of that.